All right, all right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Bob Vieira. I'm the founder and the owner of Universal Short Sales. We're a full-service short sale processing company and the fastest growing short sale operation in the United States of America. Today, I'm going to go over with you guys the opportunities that lie in the future and that are here right now when it comes to pre-foreclosure and short sale deals. So as we go through these slides, I'm going to be as descriptive as humanly possible, but any and all questions you guys have, I'm going to connect with everybody at the end of it. You're going to have complete access to me to ask questions, network, and just move forward however we need. All right, so really quick background on myself. Born and raised in a little town called Old Forge, Pennsylvania, right outside of Scranton. Got started in the business actually in the Philadelphia, PA market, which was, very, very hot at the time, seller's market. And I jumped in just as an agent. I wasn't even on the investment side yet. I was strictly just a real estate agent. Just like any brand new real estate agent, I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to strum up any business possible. And it just so happened that I started to stumble upon short sales. Now, at the time, I had no idea what a short sale was, let alone how to even complete a short sale deal. Absolutely clueless, no idea. But through trial and error and just running full steam ahead and doing these things and grinding them out, I learned the process. And then as I did more and more short sales as a listing agent, I actually was able to create a system. So lo and behold, I became kind of a short sale / pre-foreclosure expert in the local market. And in 2000, so that was around 2015. Fast forward to 2019, I realized, hey, a short sale is the same anywhere. It's the same process. It's the same concept. It is the same exact deal, no matter where you are in the country. And there's a need for a pre-foreclosure / short sale expert nationally. And in 2019, that's when I launched the company I have now, Universal Short Sales. And like I said before, we process short sales literally around the country. A little bit about what we do. We streamline the entire short sale process from start to finish. And we have what I like to call a hybrid business model. So it's hybrid because we do third-party fee-based short sale processing, which is, if you're an investor or you're a real estate agent and you bring us a deal, we will process it, and then we get a fee on the HUD, a flat fee. And then we have a model where we actually purchase the properties ourselves. So we'll make an offer as the buyer on a short sale, process it from start to finish, just like we typically would, but then we actually take title to the property and purchase it. We're investors. So as I just mentioned, if you're an investor and you come across a property and it's going to be a short sale and you actually want to purchase it and take title to it, we will process the short sale start to finish. You pay us a fee on the HUD. We'll get everything done for you A to Z. If you're a real estate agent and you have a short sale listing, let's say you have a listing that's coming up, it's going to be a short sale. Instead of you as the agent, tracking the bank down, trying to learn short sales on the fly and how they work, waiting on hold. I mean, short sales are a gruesome, long process and very, very complicated. Instead of you as the listing agent trying to deal with all that, you get to focus on what it is you do best: listing, selling, negotiating for your client, and then most importantly, going out and getting business for yourself, prospecting, door knocking, whatever it is you do. You don't want to spend your time on hold with the bank. So we process everything for you. You don't have to worry about a thing. And the buyer pays us on the HUD, so you don't pay us a dime. And then also we have our famous wholesaler referral program where, let's say your main model is wholesaling real estate via assignment contracts or double closing. Well, a qualified short sale, which I'm going to go over with you guys a little bit later, is actually a dead lead for your business model. Even if you're an investor, I know sub 2 is very, very popular right now. let's say you're a sub 2 investor, you're evaluating a deal to take it over subject to the mortgage. Well, a lot of dead sub 2 deals are actually amazing short sale opportunities. So what we do is, instead of you throwing the lead out and moving on and wasting your marketing dollars, we help you monetize those dead leads. You could partner up with us, and I'll get into that a little bit later on, but it's an amazing program, very, very popular. Let's start at the basics. So what is a pre-foreclosure in real estate? A pre-foreclosure in its simplest form is when someone is at least 90 days behind on their mortgage, and the bank, all the meanwhile, they're sending them delinquency letters. Hey, you're falling behind, you have to pay. And then right around that 90-day mark, they're going to actually file a motion to foreclose on the property with the courts. Okay, so a pre-foreclosure is when the bank has actually started the process officially of taking the property back from the homeowner via foreclosure. A big part of that on title is called a lis pendens. A lis pendens is the judgment that a lender is going to file in order to put everybody else on notice that, hey, this person isn't paying us and we have the first right to the property. We as the lender are in a first lien position. That's what that lis pendens is. Now, let's get into the crux of things. So now that we understand exactly what a pre-foreclosure is, at least from a bird's eye view, how do we get these deals? Now, there's tons and tons of ways to get pre-foreclosure deals. I'm going to go over 2 right now that my team and I are using in our business, and they're working magically. The first one, source number 1, and I had to start with this one because it's my absolute favorite, mortgage modification leads. What is a mortgage modification? A mortgage modification is when a homeowner falls behind on their payments and their bank is going to let them keep the property. They're going to let them modify the mortgage. All right. They're going to give them brand new mortgage terms, typically a new payment, and they're going to give them essentially a second chance at paying them back. They're going to allow them to keep the property. All right. Now, mortgage modifications are very, very an important tool to have in your arsenal, because as you guys are prospecting to pre-foreclosures, or your team is prospecting to pre-foreclosures, the vast majority of the people you talk to that are behind on their mortgage, they want to stay in their property. They don't want to sell. They want to keep their home. A lot of times it has to do with an emotional tie. Maybe it's the house they raised their family in, or it could be their first ever investment property or Airbnb or whatever the case is, but they have an emotional attachment that is pulling them to keep the property. So again, they're going to apply for the mortgage modification, which is the second chance to keep the property. And this process is not easy and it's not short. The mortgage modification process is very, very long. It takes months and months to complete. And the homeowner has to submit bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns. It's a very exhausting process. And, the harsh reality is a large portion of these mortgage modifications, they get declined. All right. They get declined, and it's very unfortunate, but it's just a fact. So when it gets declined, the homeowner is almost forced to sell the property. So listen, I'm here to tell you today, when you're talking to a homeowner, or your team, your cold callers, reach a homeowner that's in pre-foreclosure and they say, no thanks, I'm working out with the bank, do not hang up the phone. I repeat, you want to stay on the phone, because these are unbelievable leads. And the thing with these leads it's a slow play. So you're not going to get on the phone with a mortgage modification and then sign a contract the next day. Because remember, they don't want to sell their property to you right now. They want to keep it. So what they're going to do is they're going to work it out with the bank. They're going to try to work it out with the bank months and months and months. So while you're on the phone with them, you want to take 3 steps. Step number 1 is don't hang up the phone, stay on the phone and build rapport. You want to stay on the phone and build rapport. Step number 2 is as the conversation is flowing, you want to show your support. You want to be supportive of their decision. The number one mistake investors and real estate agents make when they're trying to convert these mortgage modification leads is they try to give the homeowner a sales pitch on why they need to sell their property instead of trying to keep it with the bank. It's a big no-no. Do not do this under any circumstance. If you do this, what's going to happen is you're going to distance yourself from the homeowner. You're going to come off as a sleazeball that's just trying to get a deal, okay, that you don't care about the homeowner, and they're not going to trust you and they're not going to like you. It's the opposite of building good rapport. So again, step number 1, stay on the phone, build rapport, let the conversation flow. Step number 2, be supportive. Support their decision. What I like to say when I'm on the phone with them is, hey, listen, I respect the fact you're trying to do this. I hope it works out. And guys, that leads into step number 3. Step number 3 is end the call with permission to follow up. And let me tell you this, you will almost always get permission as long as you're building rapport the right way and you're being supportive and you're just letting the conversation flow. You're not being pitchy. You're not giving them a sales pitch. Step number 3 will come easy. You're going to end the call with permission to follow up. You're going to say, hey, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I wish you the best of luck with the modification. You know, there's nothing short about it. So as you're going through the application, if you don't mind, I'm going to check in with you every once in a while just to follow up, make sure you don't need anything from me. And then if for any reason it doesn't work out, I'm here to help you to sell the property or buy the property or whatever you're looking to do. Almost all the time, they're going to agree to that. And then you want to immediately, this is the most important part right here. As soon as you hang up the phone, go into your CRM and you're going to set a follow-up. This is very, very specific. So I want you guys to write this down. You're going to set a follow-up for once every 3 weeks. We have it down to a science. It sounds weird because it's so specific. Just trust me. Follow up with the homeowner once every 3 weeks. And when you follow up with them, this is another very specific thing. You're going to leave a voicemail and text. Never just call and then move on. You're going to call them. Most of the time, they're not going to answer you. They're busy. They're scrambling, trying to get these documents into the bank. You're going to leave a voicemail with your first and last name. And then you're going to hang up the phone and send a text message with your first and last name. The reason this is so important, there's 2 reasons actually it's very important. Number 1, when they get used to hearing your first and last name via voicemail and seeing it via text, you're building a brand subconsciously in the seller's mind. Even though they're not going to answer you back most of the time and they're not going to answer you, period, they're going to get used to hearing your first and last name. So you're building omnipresence with the homeowner. Second reason is you're building trust because you're doing exactly what you said you were going to do. When you hung up the phone the first time you called them, you told the homeowner you were going to follow up with them every once in a while throughout the process, and touching base with them once every 3 weeks, you were proving that you're trustworthy and you're doing exactly what you said you're going to do. And guys, what happens is over time, once that modification application gets denied, which again, there's a high probability it's going to, you're going to be there and you're going to have trust and rapport and brand credibility with the homeowner. You will I can almost guarantee you will get the business. Whether you're a listing agent trying to sell the property or you're an investor trying to purchase it, you will get that deal. Here's a quick snapshot of my pipeline because I wanted to kind of paint a picture for you. So right now I have about 130 active mods that we're following up with using the exact same process I just gave you guys. Now, let's say 50%. Listen, I don't have numbers on this, but 50% is not far off. let's say half of these active mods, they get declined. Guess what? I have 65 hot leads in my pipeline because we followed up correctly. That's just to paint a picture for you. Again, this is a slow play. The mortgage mods are a very slow play. It's not quick. The whole idea is as you guys are prospecting to pre-foreclosure leads and the leads are coming in, you want to slowly build a pipeline of these mortgage modification leads. You're going to build a pipeline, and then slowly but surely, the huge pipeline is going to start to drip in deals for you. You're going to get deals under contract from this. Really quick bonus tip here. This is kind of second level. Let's say you're following up with somebody that's in an active mortgage modification, and you're following up using the same process I just gave you once every 3 weeks on the dot. And then a couple months into your follow-up, the seller calls you back and they say, hey, Bob, listen, thank you so much for the follow-up, but we were actually granted a mortgage modification. The bank is going to work with us. Great. Now, you're not going to want to do this with everyone. This has to be your gut feeling. Use your gut feeling. If the homeowner tells you that the modification got accepted and that everything is good, but you know their situation, and you know in your heart of hearts there is no possible way in hell they could afford to pay their mortgage, if that's the case, what you want to do is set another follow-up for 30 days later. Not the once every 3 weeks. Write that down. 30 days later, you want to set a follow-up for. The reasoning is, once a bank grants somebody a mortgage modification, the process isn't over. They're going to put the homeowner on what's called a trial period. That trial period is going to last for 90 days. If that homeowner slips up one time within that 90-day period, the bank pulls their offer, they're going to rescind the mortgage modification, and then the homeowner is done and they can't even apply again. They're up shit's creek, they're done. So again, don't do this with everyone because you want to be careful about your time. But if you have a gut feeling, the homeowner just, they're just financially unable to pay for it, what you want to do is follow up with them again once every 30 days, and then just to make sure that they're making those payments. I have actually gotten deals this way. That's why I added this little slide in here for you. Let's move on to source number 2. This one's a little bit more straightforward, but it's out of the box. All right. I've gotten a lot of deals like this the last couple of years. So once the pandemic hit, what happened was all the people that had their properties listed on the MLS that were in pre-foreclosure, or, they were up for a short sale, they were underwater. There was thousands of people that were in this situation. And when the pandemic hit, the government stepped in and they placed a mortgage moratorium over all the banks. So the banks, no matter how far behind somebody was, they were unable to foreclose on anybody. So really, the pandemic was a saving grace for a lot of these people because, they were like, okay, listen, I don't have to pay. I'm in pre-foreclosure, but the bank has no remedy. So they pulled their properties off the market. Or, a lot of people just let them sit there and they let it expire, so on and so forth. So what I've been doing, and I suggest you do this too, is go back, way back in time. This is like, I can't even call this an expired listing, like a long expired listing, because we're going years back at this point, and it sounds a little crazy, but it works. What I like to do, my sweet spot, is I like to pull expired pre-foreclosures and expired short sales from right before the pandemic hit. So my sweet spot is like the end of 2019. Let's say end of November into December 2019, somewhere in that ballpark. You want to pull those listings. Now, if you're, if you're a real estate agent watching this and you're licensed, you should be able to do this very easily through your MLS. If you're an investor, you could either get MLS access somehow, or make friends with a real estate agent, or B, you could use tools such as PropStream and, there's a million different softwares that'll, get this done for you. But again, you want to go back in time and you want to be very, very specific. Don't just pull failed listings from way back when. That's not going to work. Most of those properties have been sold already. You want to pull the listings, again, that were people behind on their mortgage, either in pre-foreclosure or short sale, and that were listed on the MLS. And the methodology behind this, guys, is a lot of those people, even though it was long ago, a lot of those people kind of kicked the can down the road. Some of them entered forbearances. Some of them really didn't do anything. They just let the property sit there. And a vast majority of those people, they're not in a better financial situation. I would even argue that a lot of the people that took advantage of the COVID forbearances are in a worse financial situation now than they were then. So the opportunity is awesome. And there's hidden gems. These are hidden gems. Now, don't expect to pull gigantic lists. When you go back and you pull these lists in the markets that you're looking to target, the lists are going to be very small, but they're very, very strong lists. They're small, but they're very effective lists. You will get deals if you do this and you're consistent about it. So, okay, I just went over 2 ways my team and I are getting pre-foreclosure leads to flow in. Once these leads flow in, actually knowing how to handle that conversation with the seller is extremely important. Here's the one thing I'll tell you. If you're someone that likes to use sales scripts, that's totally fine. I'm sure it works for you. I highly suggest when you're prospecting to pre-foreclosure leads or any kind of mortgage delinquent seller, throw the sales scripts away. They're actually very dangerous to use. So when someone's in pre-foreclosure, they're in a very, very stressful situation. Typically it's the hardest time that they've ever experienced in their lives. They're getting bombarded with letters by their lender, threatening paperwork getting sent, posting stuff to the door if they have an auction coming up. They're getting phone calls. I mean, it's very, very hectic. The last thing on earth this homeowner wants is to talk to you on the other end of the phone and for you to sound like a robotic salesman that's just trying to clearly take advantage of their situation. It's going to distance yourself from the seller and you're going to struggle to build rapport and get deals that way. My best suggestion for these types of seller leads is to just let the conversation flow, be very, very conversational, and just let them do the talking. Let the conversation flow. You want it to be apparent that they're just talking to another human being at the other end of the phone. Just make it super conversational. They should be doing most of the talking. They should be talking 80 to 90% of the conversation. And watch your tone. What I mean by that is don't be too aggressive. A lot of sales gurus out there, they teach to be super aggressive, 100 miles an hour, no matter what. Again, that could work for some people. It will not work for these types of sellers, I promise you. You want to take a laid back approach. If you have an A-type personality, that's awesome. Tone it down. Take a laid back approach when you're talking to these sellers. Again, let the conversation flow. Be cool, be a human being, and you'll get a lot of these deals. Now, as the conversation's flowing and you're letting them talk, you're letting them vent. When you do talk, you need to be asking questions. And there's 4 specific questions you absolutely need to ask, because these questions, which I'm going to go over with you in a second, they're going to determine your exit strategy. So whether you need to write this down, screenshot these questions, make a little checklist for yourself. You have to have these questions because, again, you can't just talk to a seller that's in pre-foreclosure and then expect to solve their problem. Getting the answers to these questions are going to let you know what exit strategy you need to take to solve their problem. Let's dive in here. Question number 1, you need to find out exactly how many months they're behind on the mortgage. All right. If they don't know it to a T, they could give you a ballpark, at least get a ballpark. Immediately after that, you say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, has the bank started foreclosure on you? Has the bank started the foreclosure process? If the answer to that is yes, your immediate question after that needs to be, have they given you a foreclosure sale date? All right. Have they given you an actual sale date? What I mean by a foreclosure sale date is it's the very end of the pre-foreclosure process when the bank has no other remedy and they're going to foreclose. They're going to actually take the property back and set an auction date. Okay. So now this is crucial. You need to know this because guess what? If the homeowner tells you, yes, the bank started the foreclosure process on me, and then you forget to ask question number 3 immediately after, guess what? You could be doing all this work and all this due diligence for nothing because you don't know how close that auction date is or if they set one. So again, did they give you an auction date? If the answer is yes, get that date because guys, that date is going to let you know exactly how much time you have to help. Question number 4, get their mortgage balance. And when you ask this question, you have to be very, very clear about what you're asking because a lot of homeowners, what they'll do is they'll give you kind of a vague answer, not because they're trying to keep anything from you, but because they're not sure what you're asking. So when you ask about the mortgage balance, make sure you're very, very clear that you need to know what the principal balance of the loan is, plus all the fees and interest and back payments, everything included in one. What do they owe? I'm going to leave this up here because I want you guys to screenshot it. I want you guys to write this down and create a checklist with it. Now, one other little note about that mortgage balance. So whatever answer they give you, a lot of times it's either going to be a ballpark or it's going to be wrong because, again, they're not trying to deceive you. But a lot of homeowners don't realize how fast and how much all the interest and penalties compound against the principal loan balance. When you're not paying your bank, it all compounds on top of each other. And a lot of time that balance is way higher than what the homeowner thinks. So you're going to get all these answers. You're going to get all these answers from the bank. You're going to confirm them from the bank. So as you're getting all those 4 questions answered, you're going to start to determine what your best exit strategy is. Sometimes they may not be that far behind, so maybe you could do a sub 2. Sometimes they have a lot of equity. It's a high equity pre-foreclosures. Those are amazing. You could purchase them, wholesale them. You could do whatever you want with those. And then a lot of times, guys, people that are super deep into pre-foreclosure, as I mentioned before, the fees are compounding. They're going to be underwater on their mortgage, and you're going to have to do a short sale. So what is a short sale in real estate? Short sale is when the homeowner's balance on their mortgage, what they owe the bank, exceeds what the property is worth, the as-is value of the property. All right? So they owe more to the bank than what their property is worth in its as-is condition. And at the same time, they're falling behind on their mortgage payments to the bank. So property is worth property is worth less than what they owe, and they're delinquent on their mortgage. So they can't sell the property the traditional way because they have no equity. So the bank lets them do what's called a short sale, and they allow them to sell their property for less than what they owe them on the mortgage balance. They just let them out from under it. It's an amazing solution for the homeowner. Quick example, let's say somebody owes $300,000 on their mortgage and their property is only worth $250,000. In a short sale situation, the bank is going to let them sell for the $250,000 that the property is worth. And that $50,000 difference between the $250,000 and the $300,000, that's called the deficiency. The bank is going to wipe that $50,000 clean. So the homeowner does not have to show up to closing, writing a check for the difference that they owe for the mortgage. Amazing, right? So, I know it's a super hot seller's market right now, inventory's tight, bidding wars, so on and so forth. But I promise you this, if you're hitting enough pre-foreclosure leads, you will absolutely come across short sales. It doesn't matter what type of market you're in. And there's so many reasons for this. One of them I just touched on before, as someone's not paying their mortgage, the deeper into pre-foreclosure they go, the more the fees and interest and penalties stack on the mortgage. It literally compounds. It 10x's against the principal mortgage balance. And before you know it, they owe way more than the property is worth. Another thing to keep in mind, guys, of why people get into short sale situations, these last couple of years, people had record home equity on their properties. And a lot of people, they don't think like you and I. They don't think like investors. So when they have that kind of home equity, a record amount of people pulled that equity out of their house to, renovate the kitchen like they always wanted to, or buy that brand new sports car or boat they always wanted to. So they ate up their equity by buying consumer-driven purchases, not investments. That eats up your equity. And then the third thing I want you guys to keep in mind, no matter how hot the market is, if someone is deep into pre-foreclosure and they're behind on their payments and their balance is stacking and stacking up every month, while at the same time the property is becoming dilapidated, that is a recipe for disaster, and it's a recipe for a short sale situation. That happens all the time. So, okay, what are the benefits of a short sale for a seller? Because in a short sale, the seller isn't getting any money. They're just getting let out from under it. So number one, and this is the most important in my opinion, as long as the short sale is done correctly by professionals, the deficiency is going to get waived. What's the deficiency? Let's go back to this example. Mortgage balance is $300,000. The as-is value of the home is $250,000. The difference between the $250,000 and the $300,000, that $50,000 difference, is the deficiency. That deficiency, it gets waived. The seller does not have to pay it, and the bank waives their right to go collect that $50K in writing. We make sure they put that in writing in the short sale approval letter. All right. They get out from under the mortgage, which is big. They're able to just move on with their life, and they avoid foreclosure. A short sale does not get recorded as a foreclosure on the homeowner's record. By the way, guys, these three main benefits, you're going to want to know that, because that's actually going to help you to get listings and get deals for yourself. Being able to educate the seller on this will get you deals. So, all right, we understand what a short sale is, but how do we actually qualify it? How do you know you have a good short sale lead in front of you? So there's three qualifying factors. Factor number one is negative equity. All right, they're underwater. So again, the property in its as-is condition, not the ARV. You wholesalers out there listening, forget about the ARV in a short sale. You're focused on the as-is value, because I used to get hung up on that too. I would think, okay, what's the ARV? Doesn't matter. The as-is value of the property is less than what they owe the bank, the mortgage balance. They are underwater. Again, let's go back to this example. Mortgage balance is $300,000. Property's only worth $250,000, negative equity. All right. Factor number two, once you realize they're underwater, they have to be delinquent on their mortgage, behind on their mortgage payments. A question I get all the time is, does someone have to be in pre-foreclosure in order to be a short sale? Absolutely not. They could about to be behind on their mortgage. Maybe they're current and they tell you they're about to be behind. That qualifies. Or maybe they're a month or two behind. That qualifies as well. It doesn't have to be a pre-foreclosure. Guys, factor number three is so important. Very, very important. They cannot be motivated by money. In a short sale, the seller does not make any money. They're able to get out from under it, but their profit is zero from the sale. The bank doesn't allow it. The reason this factor is so important, because when I first started doing short sales, this is what I would do. I would say, okay, the deal has negative equity, check. They're behind on their mortgage, check. Great, I have a qualified short sale. And then I would move forward. I would spend months and months grinding it out, all for the seller to back out at the end when they found out they're not getting any money. You need to have the conversation up front with the homeowner on call number one that they're not profiting and that they're okay with that. A seller's main motivation needs to be to just get out from under, avoid foreclosure, and get that deficiency waived. So important. Again, quick recap, guys. How do you qualify a short sale lead? Number one, make sure they're underwater, no equity, negative equity. Number two, make sure they're either behind on their mortgage or they're soon to be behind on their mortgage. Number three, make sure the seller is motivated just to avoid foreclosure and get out from under, not by money. So let's look at a traditional motivated seller versus a qualified seller of a short sale. So again, you need to understand their motivation. Very, very important. Understand what is making them tick, because I'll tell you this right now. If you talk to someone and they're underwater on their mortgage and they're facing foreclosure or they're starting to fall behind and they don't care if they have a foreclosure on their record, which some people just don't give a shit. They don't care. Good. I'm older. My credit's garbage anyway, whatever their case is, they don't care about having a foreclosure. You need to understand their motivation in the beginning, because if they don't care about a foreclosure, even if they're qualified for on paper for a short sale, don't do the deal. It's not actually qualified, because during a short sale process, the seller is going to have to cooperate and send you documents, signatures. They're going to have to, you need a lot of work and commitment on the seller's end. And if they're not getting any money and their main motivation is money, they're not going to cooperate with you. So that's very crucial. Whereas a traditional motivated seller with equity in their property, they're motivated by quick cash. They want their cash, fast closing, and they want to be on the road. You need to be able to decipher between the two and really understand what is making them tick. All right, so if you come across these dead short sale leads, again, let's say you're looking at a property and you're like, oh, awesome, this is going to be a real cool sub-2 deal. And you get their mortgage payoff and you realize, oh man, their back payments are just way too much. Or, they're way too underwater. I don't want to take this mortgage over. Or let's say you were going to assign the contract. It's a pre-foreclosure deal. And then the payoff comes back. You realize they're underwater. These leads are dead leads for your business model. Instead of throwing away those dead leads, we work with literally thousands of wholesalers around the country. They bring us those leads. We partner with you. We sign a JV agreement. So we take those dead leads. We literally do the short sale from start to finish, which, by the way, on average takes 4 to 6 months. So you don't do a thing. You send us your dead lead, introduce us to the seller. We sign a JV agreement with you. We literally do the short sale from start to finish, all the work, and we pay you 20% of whatever our net equity is, literally for doing 100% of the work, months and months of work on your dead lead. So, we don't want your profitable stuff. Anything that's dead, you can't do anything with it. You were just going to throw it out. Send it to us. We're just a tool in your tool belt. That's all we are. So easy 3 steps to submit your lead. Go to our website, universalshortsales.com. You're going to hover over the contact us form and you just complete the form. Wholesalers submit properties here. It's as easy as that. And then I send you the signed contract before we ever reach out to the homeowner, and we keep you updated. The main thing of what separates us from everybody else in the business, and quite frankly, it's not even close, is our commitment to being number one when it comes to updating and communicating during the short sale process. Short sales are super long, super drawn out. You will always, always, always know where your lead is in the process and then when you're getting paid. Really quick case study I wanted to show you. This was a recent deal we closed in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Guys, we do these everywhere. All 50 states, any market, we do short sales. So it doesn't matter what market you're in. But yeah, one of our JV partners sent us this lead. She's like, hey, there's a pre-foreclosure. The payoff came back. They're way underwater. Property's a wreck. She was going to wholesale the deal. That was her exit strategy. She was going to get it under contract and assign it for a profit. And she realized they were underwater. So she sent the deal over to us. We signed a contract with her for the 20% referral. And I think this one, if I'm not mistaken, it took around 5 months to complete. During those 5 months, she did absolutely nothing. She did not lift a finger. We were in her inbox, updating her constantly of where the deal was at. And then all of a sudden, boom, she gets a wire in her bank account for almost 14 grand for literally doing nothing. So what's the ROI on that? Infinity. So this is just a quick case study to, paint a picture. Really, it's a no-brainer to take these dead leads. If they're a qualified short sale, why would you throw them out? Now, by the way, that was a really good deal. It's not always going to be that high. It's going to range. The check we cut you will range from like 1,400 to, 14K plus, obviously. I mean, it could, it doesn't have a ceiling on it. It's whatever we're able to make from the deal. Gift I want to give you guys is a free course. Now, I believe the guys at Invested Agents are going to send you guys the course. If they don't, feel free to email me. You just put send me course from webinar, and then I'll know you watched the webinar. I'll email it right over to you. But this is a free course, pre-foreclosure fast lane. We go over pre-foreclosure fundamentals, lead generation techniques, short sale fundamentals, and then I actually give you my 12-step system that my business uses to complete short sales literally from start to finish. I give it away to you, my gift to you. I hope you enjoy it. And listen, I want to connect with everyone watching this. I want to network. I want to link up with you. I want to have a discussion on how we could do business together. So feel free to reach out to me. Don't ever feel like, you have to have a deal in hand in order to reach out. Shoot me a PM on Facebook, Bobby Vieira, very easy to find. I'm in here. I'm in Invested Agents here. You can find me. Vieira Companies is my email. Shoot me an email. Again, feel free to reach out. I'd love to connect with you guys. And we'll network and hopefully we'll do some business together. And here's actually how you stay in touch with me. Here's my direct cell phone number, email, website. And guys, if you're not in my Facebook, you need to get in this Facebook ASAP. All right. Short sale success for realtors and investors. Literally put that in the Facebook search bar and it'll come up. Request to be a member. We have lead generation webinars. We talk pre-foreclosures. I'm giving tips. I bring experts in. We just recently had a guy that talked about how to wholesale REO deals that the bank actually owns. This guy's an expert in wholesaling it. So there's just amazing content we put in there. So get in that group if you're not already in it. Hurry up and get in there. And like I said, if you have any questions, they're going to be blasting this course out to you. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I look forward to connecting with everybody.